One. All right, what's up, PTB Nation? Welcome back. It's been a little while. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but I am back here on the PTB Media Network, and this is Parking the Bus, and we're talking what everyone's talking right now. It is the European Super League. That's the topic today, and I got a very special guest with us today, and you all know him. He's been here before. He's got his own room out back in the studio. He's got his own cot. All right. D-Gens United himself, Leo Koukakis. What is up, brother?
What's up, Capitano? How we doing, baby?
Oh, we're living the dream, man. We're living the dream.
That's
You're
right.
watching a match on your screen. I got a match on mine, and we're gonna have a conversation while we're each watching different matches.
Man, we've done this so many times. The only difference is we're not being paid to actually do this.
I don't know what you're talking about. We never did this on the job.
Yeah, you're right. We used to. We did this pre-pandemic when we didn't even need to sweat it out, dude.
Yeah, when we were in cubicles next to each other.
That's right. Throwing notes to each other during the games.
So what's good, man? How you been? You're doing some good things over there on Better Than Vegas. That site seems to be blowing up.
That's right, man. betterthan.vegas. We are a site for all degenerates. We got all kinds of sports going on. Whatever your heart desires. This morning, Sunday morning, I had seven soccer plays. Unfortunately, the first one lost with Juventus. Ronaldo misses a free header in the 85th minute.
Yeah,
that was an unfortunate turn of events. But yeah, better than Vegas. We're getting bigger. We're getting better. We got a few things up our sleeves. We got a couple major announcements coming in the next couple weeks. Very, very exciting times. If you like to bet on sports, bet on soccer, or you're just looking for some pretty decent analysis, we do a soccer show every Friday. It's posted to the Twitter at BTV Cash Tickets. It's also on the website, again, betterthan.vegas. And Capitano, rumor has it you may be joining us next week.
I was about to say there may be a familiar face dropping in there pretty soon.
Good stuff, man. Always welcome.
So what's good? What are your thoughts on European Super League? It's the story of the week this week. It completely. What's hilarious is here's what went under the radar while the Super League broke. Okay, Jose Mourinho got sacked. Nobody even noticed.
Yep.
Major League Soccer picked the worst possible weekend to kick off their season because nobody noticed. This story completely, and this isn't any disrespect to those two stories, but European Super League completely stole the show, completely stole the headlines. What was your reaction when you heard that? First, what was your reaction when you heard Florentino Perez went on a B-rate late-night cable show to announce by himself that 12 teams were forming their own league?
So my initial reaction was, this is the worst thing that could have happened to soccer, because I think that we all knew that it was going to result in serious sanctions. I also wasn't surprised because, you had extremely greedy owners. I also wasn't surprised to hear that John Henry, the owner of the Red Sox, one of the worst owners.
His name's going to come up a lot today, I think.
Oh, you don't say. Oh, Mares, nothing. You suck. Go find Jasmine and get off the freaking team, dude. You suck, Aladdin. Focus. Oh, man, we haven't done this in a while, dude. We got to get the rust off. But Super League, not a huge fan of it. It's really just going to ruin things, and especially when FIFA came out and said if you play in the Super League, you're not allowed to play in the World Cup. I do not want to live in a world where the World Cup is not the biggest competition, and it doesn't mean everything.
And that's something that sounds familiar to us living here in North America, because let's face it, the NBA doesn't follow any of FIBA's rules. The NHL doesn't follow the international ice hockey, rules. They make their own. They can ban those players all they want. They're going to say, fine, I'll play in the NBA. But it's not the same in this sport. You can't ban players from the World Cup, the Euros, the Copa America, any of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, from that perspective, it's absolutely terrible. People kept talking about, well, the other thing was potentially the Premier League, La Liga, kicking the big sides out for joining the Super League. And then it's like, all right, now we've created an absolute
civil war.
Yeah. It couldn't be worse. And then the big news was, the thing that kind of hit me once they started to announce, we're out of it 48 hours later. While I despise the majority of these owners, You can't tell me that they're idiots. They are not
No,
stupid individuals.
no.
They knew that they were going to get serious backlash from this. I guarantee you that they consulted a lot of people that probably said the same thing that just about everybody said. So for them to pull the plug on this 48 hours in tells me that this was never an actual real thing. This was never going to happen.
And the timing is also very fortunate to try to pull one of these off. They pull it off in a pandemic when fans are not in the stadium, because there'd have been riots in the stadium, not outside the stadium, if they had tried this on a normal season.
Well, more importantly, obviously this created a big time division between FIFA, UEFA, and these clubs. First of all, is there any more corrupt organizations than UEFA and FIFA? The answer is no.
CONCACAF. I'm gonna say CONCACAF has them beat, but you get the point.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
people running the game are just That was one problem I had, is that they somehow, and some people in the media, start to make UEFA and FIFA look squeaky clean on this, and it's like, hold on, slow your roll.
The four dirtiest organizations. You got FIFA, you got UEFA, you got CONCACAF, and then like the mob. Like that's the order right there. Like mob may very well come in like third or fourth. All right.
Yeah. And if you throw CONMEBOL in, the mob's in fifth. Basically, all these continental federations are all the same.
So I love how my theory on this is that they came up with this. They said, "Hey guys, let's try to announce this. There's going to be serious backlash. We're going to make it sound as shitty as possible, because what we want to do is we want to announce a new Champions League that we know nobody's going to like. So we're just going to, you guys eat it. All right. We'll make sure that you guys get paid, which they're going to get paid. They're in negotiations right now to get more money for those top teams.
And more top league teams, which nobody's asking for.
Yeah, just a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, here you go, guys.
My bad.
Benfica?
Oh, yeah. Benfica women, 3-0. We're running for the title. It's the Canadian, Chloe Lacasse.
One love. Good old Canadians. Here comes Harry Kane. Harry Kane over the top, ball the sun, and nothing's going to happen, as always. So I mean, my entire theory here is that there was an agreement between FIFA, UEFA, and these clubs saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're changing up the Champions League. We're going to make it sound like you're going to create this Super League that's going to absolutely suck. So once we announce the new Champions League, people are going to love it. People are going to go crazy for it, or they're just not going to care, which is exactly what happens. I mean, if you're not a diehard soccer fan, you have no idea that they just made new changes to the Champions League.
No, most people are unaware. We'll get, if we have time, we'll talk about some of those changes today.
Yeah, so I mean, Super League generally bad, but I did hear a massive rumor that my club in Greece, Panathinaikos, was supposed to be the 13th team. They were going to be one of the elite teams. So the theory behind it is that we have had a Saudi prince, a guy with unlimited amounts of money, that has been trying to buy the club for years. Olympiakos' owner, the King Surat, has been blocking him from getting his Greek citizenship to make sure that sale doesn't go through. So essentially, this Super League was going to be the way to get him to own the team, because that was the only way that we could afford to buy in, because, we just started paying players again, which is always good. So from a selfish perspective, I am officially devastated that this didn't happen, and Panathinaikos is not going to go play the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and all the big teams. But I mean, yeah, this thing needed to get put to an end, but I have my theories as to why it happened in the first place.
So I'm glad you made that point, because on my side, I've been this idea of a European Super League. I was hearing about this when I was in Portugal 25 years ago as a kid. Like, this is something they've been trying to concoct for a long time. And I know for a fact, and I don't care what anyone says, that my club I support right here, as everyone knows, they want to be there. I don't care what the president says. Now, the supporters don't want him there, but I have no doubt that this president wants to. Everything he has done has been to put the club in a place to be asked, begged to come in, so that we can go there and get our teeth kicked year after year, which this is why nobody wants it. We're going to go there to be a punching bag for the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas of the world. However, they want to monochromatize the emblem. They want to be more marketable in China. The only thing we were missing in this announcement was that the games were going to be played in the United States, China, Australia, the Middle East, and all that they weren't even going to play. That's the only thing, the only idea they didn't tell us that was, of everything every football fan fears. But
yeah.
Your insight into Panathinaikos being possibly in there. And there's a connection because your club was one of the founders of the EuroLeague in basketball. And everybody is comparing this to American sports, the NFL, to the NBA.
MLS.
But I think this is a lot closer to the EuroLeague. What do you see the similarities?
Yeah, because you still have that license where it's going to be 10 years. You buy
Exactly.
into it, you're automatically in it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. And it was really funny. We're probably going to get to this later because I know your love for the MLS runs deep. But every
It's a love
problem that
hate.
I heard, I
Yeah.
know what you're saying, Capitan. We've had many
This is very
conversations.
MLS-ish, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really funny because every single like negative that people have brought up about the MLS, I'm sorry, every single negative that people brought up about the Super League is every negative that I've been saying about the MLS for years.
And myself as well. Yeah.
It's all about money. It's pro relegation. You got the same teams that are going to be in there every time. You
You're
have
locked
Mickey
in.
Mouse playoffs.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you're just it's
Yeah,
horrible.
three
It's
quarters of the
absolutely
season means nothing because you just got to get into the playoffs or into the knockout stages, as they'll call it in the European Super League.
yeah. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. People that love the MLS and love the MLS structure
Hmm.
are the same people that hated the Super League. I mean, I have
There is,
multiple.
yeah, I wanted to call that hypocrisy out on this show too, because there are people that do exactly that. They call this out as against. I love it, the hashtag against modern football, right? And it's like, well, if you're against modern football, well, you wouldn't. You know what was before modern football was listening to your team on a radio and having no idea what was going on in any other country other than yours. Okay, so we can't just be completely against modern football because we sit here in the United States, we can watch any league we want anytime we want.
Yep.
Pretty much, we have access to virtually every league on planet Earth,
Yep.
and that's not possible if it's not modern football. If there isn't all kinds of money invested into TV streaming and distribution deals. So people are real quick to be all wholesome and romantic about it. And I am. I'm a romantic about this sport. This is my sport. This is what I played. This is what I've always been, infatuated with. But there's a real side too, a business side. And these guys they're trying to make money. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. American owners don't get into sports to win trophies. They get in to make profit. Or they'll get in to win a trophy and then they want to sell and get out. Right. So you mentioned John Henry earlier. So let's talk about him. um, how the perception of him and the Fenway Sports Group has changed here in Boston over the last 20 some years, right? They came in, they broke the curse, right? They beat the Yankees, they won the World Series, they were, they had the city to themselves. They were kings of the city. Fast forward to 2021. No, I can't find anyone that has anything good to say about them. Um
The
you follow
worst.
baseball closer than I do, but the Red Sox are, in somewhat shambles, if I'm not mistaken. And fans think that they're more they're more concentrated on Liverpool. Liverpool supporters hate them now too. Like
They John
total
Henry is just one of them.
miscalculation, in my opinion.
Henry, Lucchino, and the rest of the Fenway group. You're the biggest group of asshats I've ever seen in my life. They have always been about making money.
Hmm.
Even with the Red
Exactly.
Sox,
They
they
didn't
are
buy the
not.
Red Sox to win. They bought the Red Sox to make them very
Yeah.
valuable.
In like the biggest statement that they made as the ownership group was when they signed Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval. Every single baseball person in that room said, "You do not sign Pablo Sandoval. He's too fat. He's out of shape. You do not sign him." What does John Henry do? Say, "No, it's cool. We're going to sell a bunch of Kung Fu Panda merchandise. I don't mind. We're going to
Hmm.
do it." They signed him to a $100 million deal. Chubba Wubba over there still hasn't put the cheeseburgers down. He's playing over in Atlanta now. He can barely swing the bat. He's so fat. He's
Hmm.
got his rolls getting in the way. And now Liverpool is seeing the same thing. People
It,
keep talking about the renaissance of Liverpool. They haven't put any money into it. They
it's just
happen to
like
get caught.
Liverpool in 2019, 2020 is the Red Sox of 2004. Literally, they ended this long drought, and these guys were hailed as, oh, they're the good Americans. We hear that from Liverpool. Yeah, we don't
Oh,
like American owners, but these ones are the good ones. See what they did for Liverpool. And it's been what, 6 months, and now they show their true colors. They're trying to make a more profitable league. They're trying to basically distance the supporters from the club. They want that American model of a franchise, if you will, versus a club, which in a club, the fans are members and part of, whereas in a franchise, these fans are customers.
Yeah.
The Europeans are savvy enough to see they don't want to be treated as customers.
Yeah.
This isn't meant to insult anyone, but I don't think American fans are quite as nuanced or as savvy about this. I don't think they look at
Insult them. The Americans are idiots. Don't be shy.
his words, not mine, everybody. PTB Media Network does not share in this. All opinions are of the guest himself and not.
American fans are oblivious. That's why the MLS sucks.
Okay. So,
Especially when it comes to soccer.
and I look at MLS not like a soccer league or a football league. I look at it like they're trying to be a traditional American sports league versus trying to be a football league, right? Trying to be like the other leagues in the world. That's why there's such resistance to promotion relegation. There's such resistance to a single table, you know, because you ask me and most reasonable people that are fans of this game, there's too many teams in that league already.
Yeah.
I think the talent's so watered down. I think if their goal was to get to 32 franchises and then have two levels, good, a 16-team first division, a 16-team second, I think that's great. That's a step. That's not where they're going. They want to look like the NFL or the NBA and have whatever 4 conferences of 8 and have a giant playoff at the end of the season. That's just the way they see sports being governed, because in America sports are part of the entertainment industry. In Europe it's a little different. Sports are part of your identity and who you belong to. It's very tribal in nature, and fans just don't allow, we saw this week, fans just don't allow their clubs to be hijacked by owners no matter how much money they put in.
Yep, 100%. I thought the fan reaction was nuts. I thought it was
It
kind of
was insane.
appropriate too.
I thought
It
it was
was,
appropriate too. I was surprised it was so swift and so in such large numbers, considering, the
yeah,
pandemic, and regulations in Europe are a lot stricter than they are here, for example. We're pretty open right now, I would say. There's parts I know in Portugal, they're still not allowed to travel outside their home municipality. There's still travel bans. So, and they said that the fans that showed up at Stamford Bridge were only the fans that live close enough to get there, because they also have some restrictions in the UK. So it's amazing how many people got out so loudly against this so quickly that they literally derailed this idea in 48 hours.
it's kind of funny, man, because it's just like, yeah, COVID stopped for this.
Yeah,
So
literally.
it's
Literally.
something that I feel like we've seen in America where like Americans are able to like just pause COVID. No problem, everybody. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we have
pause it
this
for a
one
moment.
issue that's a little more important, so we're gonna pause COVID, and we'll
Yeah. And
resume
that,
when it's more comfortable to do so.
so like the Europeans have been so consistent with COVID, like, nope, we're
Yeah,
gonna kill this thing. Nope, everybody's not going anywhere. The second you start screwing with soccer, fuck COVID. We
yeah,
need to go riot right now.
exactly. So I thought it was great. The Leeds players coming out with the T-shirts that said "Earn It" with the Champions League logo on it, which I don't know if anyone notices this anymore, but even the name of the Champions League is a little bit redundant, because how many teams are actually champions that are in the Champions League this season? Maybe 7 or 8.
More importantly, how many teams are champions of their league and don't get in?
Hey, that's my point. Exactly. We're letting in the
Yeah.
third and fourth place teams of big leagues, and champions are in the Europa League. So,
Yep.
I mean, that name isn't even appropriate anymore. When it was founded, it was the champion of each country, and they would play against each other to make an ultra champion. And then, like they're doing now, clubs said, how are we going to make more money? How are we going to protect ourselves to stay in this? Oh, I know. We'll have a group stage. We'll have 4 Italian, English, and Spanish teams instead of 1 or 2, so we can finish 4th and qualify. Even if we have a bad year, we've got that security blanket of that income of the Champions League coming in, and
So
it's
you know
it's
what?
evolved into what we have today. And I think Florentino Perez, for everything he says that I don't agree with, I do agree that he says the Champions League, especially in the group stage, has become kind of a rerun. It's pretty much the same every year. You get the same teams coming out. Once in a while, you get a small team that goes through 3 qualifying rounds and finds their way in and gets a chance to play with the big boys. But for the most part, you're seeing the same teams play each other, and it's losing its appeal. I mean, how many times have we seen PSG and Bayern Munich play each other at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally, totally true. Kind of what you were just talking about, how they continue to expand, and they've brought it down now to third and fourth place teams getting into the Champions League. We have a new competition coming up next year
Yes, we do.
in the Conference League. You have any quick thoughts on that?
Originally, I thought it was. I was when I heard there was a third competition coming, I was hoping they were going to revamp the Cup Winners' Cup because I thought that was a cool competition where you get all of the Cup winners or finalists in a Cup competition. But it's not that. Originally, I didn't like it, but then when I looked at it, what's cool about it is you're getting the teams that would otherwise that problem is too many teams flow out of the Champions League into the Europa League. Okay, so you get the teams that belong there that actually are a legit, if you want to look at it like tiers, that are a legit good second tier European side that are getting bumped out in the group stage when they really shouldn't be. And they're getting bumped out to make room for the third place Champions League teams, which is something I've never agreed with. And I actually like it now because what you're going to get is you're going to get a much better Europa League group stage because it's going to be the teams knocked out of mostly the teams knocked out of the Champions League preliminaries. And then in the Europa Conference, as they're called it, or the Conference League, you're going to get that next tier of teams. I mean, you're going to get teams from countries that don't normally win that I think can really push. And there could be some interest, especially for, the football purists, the romantics of the game. You're going to get to see a Slavia Prague or something really make a push at lifting a trophy. It's a legit third division. I mean, is it watered down? Probably. But for teams that are in it, I won't like it if you start to see Tottenham in there. I don't want to see Tottenham go win it. I know they haven't won a trophy in forever, or for lack of a better, you know, Lazio or something like that.
Stay
I want
tuned for 20 minutes
yeah.
on Tottenham.
Yeah, right. If they don't win today, that's where they're going. But or is the EFL Cup to go to the Conference League? Is that where that automatic berth
Nope,
is going?
Europa.
Europa, okay.
Europa, I
Which
believe.
right, which means that sixth place is going to go to the Conference League,
Yep.
and I'm going to give it a chance. It has potential, but it'll be ruined if you just get the top tier wealthy clubs that just don't perform well, that drop down and then win because they're much larger clubs.
Well, it's kind of like what we've been talking about. What's the number one motivation? Money.
It's the money. It's all about the
Which
money.
team? Which teams are going to draw more, Slavia Prague or Tottenham?
Oh, I know it's Tottenham. The problem is when
Yeah,
Tottenham, even in the Europa League, they do this. They feel the fully second choice squad. They treat it worse than they treat the EFL League Cup. It's
that is
literally
the
a
thing that
reserve league
scares
for
me.
them. Yes.
I love the idea of more European
Yeah.
football. I love the
Yep.
idea of getting the small teams into it because
Hmm.
again, I have Panathinaikos. So I mean, I'm watching
Exactly.
the game today, Panathinaikos Pauk, and I'm hoping that we're able to get a result here and maybe get into European soccer next year.
Yeah.
But in reality, I see how teams treat the Europa League. They
Hmm.
don't care.
Right.
What the hell do you
Very
think is
few
going to
do.
happen with the third division?
And the teams that do care are the ones that are going to be playing in the Conference League.
Oh, what a save, Hugo! Hugo sobered up for today, folks.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful for that tournament. I'm not wildly optimistic because I think it can be ruined by the circumstance that we just spilled out. But there's potential there if they do it right. But does anyone trust UEFA to do it right?
Nope. I was just gonna say when is the last time they did anything right?
No, they
Also,
ruined the Euros. They ruined the Euros by going to 24 teams. And I
whoa,
know,
whoa.
hold on, let me finish my statement. I know that Portugal won the Euros as a third place team, but I don't believe third place teams should be advancing in a four-team group.
Okay,
You shouldn't go into a group stage and only have to win one game. I'm sorry.
that I completely agree with. They should have done the groups differently. They should have, but 24 teams, dude, come on.
There's
Who
okay,
doesn't love more games?
okay. So there's a way to do it. It's not so much that it's the 24. I guess it's the way that it plays out the rest
It's
of
the
the tournament
format.
because
Yeah.
because now you have six groups instead of four. And at least the World Cup, when they did it, they were smart enough to go to 32 because they already knew that this six group format didn't work. You had teams advancing with one win and two losses, which can't happen. So
It should have been.
if you allow more teams and you have eight groups of four, and as long as it's first and second advancing, it's for me a better product. Even if the game on the pitch isn't as exciting, it's a better flowing tournament because Portugal, honestly, and I'm glad we won, but we benefited greatly from finishing in third and not in first or second because we went on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
And we played Poland and Wales on the way to the final and not, Germany and Italy, for example, or Spain had they beaten Italy. One side of the bracket was stacked and the other side was not. And you can't tell me that in those dying minutes of that last group stage, when you have a draw and you're in third and you're going to the other side of the bracket, why are you going to go push yourself to win the match and go up
Yep.
and switch side? It just,
It's not going to happen.
I don't care what anyone says. That's always in your mind.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the way that they should have done it was 24 teams, 6 groups, top 2 are going to go through. At that point, you got 12 teams.
Yeah.
The top 4 teams, the group winner, the
The
4
six
group
group winners.
winners, the 4 group winners with the most points
Okay.
get a bye. And then the other 8 teams are going to play each other. You get 4 teams that are going to come through. And then at that point, you put them in. You put them into the quarterfinals.
Well, that's kind of what the Europa League is going to look like next year in the Conference League, because of course they didn't do away with what I just said I'm against, which is the third place teams dropping. So in the Europa League, first place teams are going to go to the round of 16, while second place teams are going to play a third place team from the Champions League to get into the round of 16. And the same happens down at the Conference League. You're going to have the group winners advancing to the round of 16, group runners up waiting for Europa League third place teams. But I don't like that format, but how many teams now are going to have an opportunity to play 6 or 8 more European matches next season? So, in that sense, I guess for the small clubs, if they can get themselves there, that is a benefit.
What day are they going to do the Conference League?
I've wondered that myself. I can't imagine. So, if you think about it logically, you would say one competition on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. I doubt that's what they're going to do. I think that Champions League is locked into Tuesday and Wednesday. They've trained us as television viewers that the Champions League is on Tuesday and Wednesday, and television is a big part of this. And anyone who's worked in television knows that you cannot change the time slot on people because a certain percentage it goes away. They never find you again.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that they're gonna cram the Europa League and the Conference League into Thursday altogether, as my imagination. That's what I assume. Which, yeah, my feeling on it's the same as yours. It's,
I mean,
if you watch it on YouTube, can see his expression.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, that's no fun.
Which I think each competition should have its night.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, or just start it off early. Even if you want to play the Conference League and play them early games.
You could give them the early time slot. That's not a bad idea either, because they do have 2 time slots that they use.
Yeah, that'd be so. Oh man, now we got something else to watch. But we've strayed a bit. We want to get
strayed
back to
way off, but good information regardless.
typically what we do here.
Absolutely.
What was the topic that we were originally going on?
We're talking Super League, and we started to talk about the comparison to the EuroLeague. And like you said, so in the EuroLeague in basketball, teams get a 10-year license, correct? And then other teams are invited in based on how they perform. Is that?
Yes. So it'll come in. It's basically like you got the 12 teams that automatically bought themselves in.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you have certain.
Which Real Madrid and Barcelona are 2 of those teams. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep.
This idea didn't just fall from the sky. They've seen it in practice.
Yep. And I don't think Liverpool has a basketball team.
No, England doesn't use the same. They don't have the same club format where they play all the sports under the same name. Portugal does. Spain, Turkey, Greece. I think
Everywhere
Italy, they have different team names for the sports.
They vary just a little bit.
They vary a little bit. I think they sell like sponsorship names, so they're like the name of a business plus the club or whatever.
Yeah, it's super weird, but I mean that's kind of where the idea came from. And if anybody watches the Euro Super League, it's not the worst idea, but it does pretty much eliminate any type of domestic competition. I mean, you watch it every year in Spain, it's Real Madrid, it's Barcelona at the top, and then it's the rest. You watch Greece, it's Olympiacos, it's Panathinaikos, and then it's the rest.
And that's why they created the Super League.
Yeah. And then it's the same thing in Russia. You get CSKA Moscow. You get it's just a circus, man. And that's a perfect example.
In Turkey
of
as well, I'm sure it's Galatasaray, Besiktas, and Fenerbahce, right?
Yeah. And it's a perfect example of everything that we don't want to happen in soccer.
Hmm.
Because soccer, while like, yeah, we know Manchester City's going to win the league every year, anything can happen. And
Yeah.
once you go to that format where you're giving the best players to the best teams, it's over.
Right. And that's the other thing. I mean, you're giving anyone outside those 20 teams basically no chance of signing anybody.
And the other thing that bothered me a lot was one of the big selling points for the Super League that they were trying to sell us on is, oh, well, you'll get like Real Madrid and you'll get Real Madrid, Manchester City every week. You'll get a
I
matchup like that.
Yeah,
We already get that.
we already get that. I mean, these quarterfinal and how many times we see repeats of the quarterfinal and semifinals now? How many times has PSG and Barcelona met in the Champions League?
Yeah,
I mean, it seems
exactly.
like it happens all the time now.
Not just that, but like you guys are giving us these streaming services where, I mean, I like them and all, but like
Hmm.
there's no. It used to be with Fox here in America. You used to get Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2.
Hmm.
You used to know 2:45 on Tuesday and Wednesday. You're going to go there. You're going to get the best game on the slate.
Right.
And then you're going to have the second best game on the slate for FS2. With the streaming services, it kind of feels like it's lost a little bit of its. It
Well,
feels like there's too many choices now.
and again, it's about the money. I mean, the and this isn't really on today's topic, but one of the things I cover uh, that other podcasts don't necessarily is the TV rights and the streaming rights, and there was just a literal raging bidding war for Serie A television rights. All right, and ultimately Paramount Plus beat out ESPN Plus. Next year, you're going to see Serie A on Paramount Plus and not on ESPN Plus.
Really?
Yeah, which I'm
They're
actually kind
going
of
in.
excited about because they do. I really like the way Paramount Plus presents their content, and they'll be the big league on Paramount Plus, other than the Champions League.
Golf
Versus,
City.
there you go. Whereas on ESPN Plus, I think that Serie A felt second rate to the Bundesliga. I think ESPN Plus selected the Bundesliga as their main, and I think that's within good reason because I think the Bundesliga is phenomenal as far as a TV property, but so much money is getting thrown into these bidding wars for streaming rights and television rights, and that's just here in the United States. Now multiply it by how many countries out there. Imagine how many times these leagues are going head to head, you know, trying to get these television providers or these streaming providers to fork over the money to buy these television rights. They're expensive. They're ridiculously expensive. And NBC Sports is in the hole right now. I don't know if you know this. That network's going away at the end
Yeah.
of this year because they're losing the NHL, and then they're basically, from what I understand, if they manage to keep the Premier League, which they're going to have to bid for it, they will be throwing it on USA and on NBC over the air mostly, and then the rest is going to go on your favorite service, Peacock. But this is where we're going. These games are going to, because these rights are so expensive, they can't afford to not attach a paywall to them.
Yeah. Um,
And like
just
you said, what happens is it untrains your mind as to when to. The Premier League used to be 11 a.m. That was your on Sunday was your key match. 7 a.m. on Saturday, 11 a.m. on Sunday. Those were two of the biggest matches always. And you'd go to Fox Sports World or Fox Soccer Channel, and you would watch it. And it has now they've added the late in. I'm using the time frame here for Eastern time zone here in the United States. It's obviously a different time in England, but now you've added the night games, which have always belonged to La Liga as far as on television. You know
yeah.
that 2:45 Eastern time on a Saturday. That's always been La Liga. And that used to be a shoe-in for El Clasico and for games like that. Now you're finding El Clasico at 7 in the morning here in the United States so that it's on in prime time, in the Far East.
It's
And I guess the Super League would fix this problem. A lot of people don't care about this, but this is one thing that would be resolved in a Super League because they would set the time frames that they want, and they would obviously get optimum time slots to show this league because the amount of money this thing is backed by J.P. Morgan, okay, which is a huge bank.
yeah.
Anyone who's taken out a loan to go to college here in the United States likely took it out from J.P. Morgan or J.P. Morgan Chase. Not me, but I know when I thought about it, that's what was there. Okay, there was a couple options, and that was always the one at the top of. That was the first box you could click. And how many people just click the first box, especially when you're 18 years old and you want to go to college? But J.P. Morgan, huge, and they were going to pay, from what's being reported, each Super League team a entrance, I guess, stipend, if you will, of 4.5 billion US. It's a lot of money that JP Morgan is financing. Now, they're not printing this money. Obviously, it's coming from somewhere. It's going to come from selling the television rights.
Yeah.
Which a lot of TV providers were backing away from because, well, they have contracts with the existing domestic leagues. They're not going to come out and say, "Yeah, let's go Super League." And then all of a sudden the Premier League's like, "Yeah, you know what, NBC, you're gone. We're going to cut your contract because you breached it. You're going to a competitor and whatever." So that's why I think you had such a negative backlash, not just from fans, but from the media companies that cover the leagues. They made sure to cover the negative backlash to make sure everyone understands where everyone stands on this Super League. But I think what you would have seen was not just a huge TV rights deal. Eventually, Amazon or DAZN or one of these mega streaming services would fork over the money if they thought they could get it. But you probably see the league's name going up for sale as well. It'd be the Emirates Super League or the Etihad or the Turkish Air, whatever. You fill in whatever mega business you want. They were gonna put because that would become the premier football competition. And what large brand doesn't want their name on that league's name for 5 or 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they would have made plenty of money off this. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but yeah, not a huge fan.
No, me either. I'm glad it didn't happen. I still reluctantly, maybe that's not the right word, but I still think it's going to happen at some point in a better form, because or the Champions League is just going to morph into this eventually. These clubs will keep getting what they want to avoid starting this league, and eventually they'll have what they want all within the constraints of the Champions League. You talked about the new Champions League model. You want to talk about that now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we'll go from 32 to 36 teams. Bye-bye group stage, as we know it. And here you have an American regular season, don't we? Because you got everybody playing 10 matches against different teams, imbalanced schedule. From what I understand, they were going to rank every team from 1 to 36 based on historical performances. And of course, Real Madrid is going to support that format because it's going to take 50 years to undo their. They could be in last place for 50 years and still be among the top historical performers.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that one seed would play against, and I don't know, throw out numbers, 8, 12, 16, 20, whatever. They would play their games against all teams pretty below them. So almost guaranteeing their passage to the top 8. Same thing with probably most of the big mega clubs. They'd be protected, and they could almost guarantee their passage through to if we want to call it the playoffs, like we call it in America. Because you see now where the model of the new Champions League starts to look very American. Mm-hmm. And more Italian teams, more French teams, more German teams, more English teams. And I think most people that want change in the Champions League want more teams from more countries, not more of the same. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what the football purist wants to see. I think you want to see the historical Steaua Bucarests and the Red Star Belgrades and your club, for example, getting back in there. I don't think we need to see, Nantes get in as the 5th or 6th place French team, or see Getafe as the 6th place Spanish team, or whoever. I don't think that's what people are looking for in the Champions League. They want to see teams earn their place.
Yeah. I hate the idea of giving a team anything based off their historical performances.
I agree.
It's embarrassing. It's stupid. I mean, I forgot who brought it up. I think it was actually Pep that brought it up, and he said, well, if we're doing this by historical things for the Super League, why isn't Ajax in it? Ajax has won it 4 times.
100% accurate.
And My response to that is Ajax won in the 70s. I mean,
Yeah.
when are we gonna, like there's got to be a cutoff here. You can't
Oh,
have
of
it
course.
happen. Oh, like what? What's the difference between them winning a title in 1970 and winning a title in 1969? Well, 1 year
Yeah.
makes a difference now. I
Right.
mean, I hate this idea of giving them anything. Ranking, it doesn't matter based off any type of historical stuff.
I
If you
agree.
want to base it on the previous season, okay, no problem. I mean, I'm sure that you can come up with an algorithm based on their points,
Hmm.
points that they get in the league. Rank the leagues that I'm
Right. And
perfectly
then you can
fine
make a
with.
coefficient out of it. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean
Based on the
that's
strength of the league. You could do more or less what the RPI ranking is in college basketball,
yeah,
more or
yeah,
less.
exactly. And anytime they bring up, oh, we want to put things in for historical value, I hear we want to put in the teams with the most money to make sure we
That's what
make
it
the
is.
most money. I hate the fact that they lie to us and treat us as if we're idiots and say, oh, it's all about the historical value. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Well,
completely believe you now.
and the president of UEFA for, all the corruption that is UEFA made one good point, and he said, if this had been 30 years ago, you wouldn't see PSG. Obviously, you wouldn't
Yeah,
see Manchester City. They were in the championship. If 40 years ago, you'd have seen Nottingham Forest in this Super League because they were two-time European champions. You would have seen Aston Villa in the champions in this Super League. You would have seen different clubs on top. Hamburg would be there. Hamburg's in Bundesliga
Division
2,
Two.
and they can't even get themselves out of there. They keep falling, and then they find them right now. They're in a playoff spot for promotion. They're not going to get past Hertha Berlin right now, who they would play in the promotion playoff. I don't think because they're struggling in Bundesliga too. So I mean, historical has its place, but it's not in deciding who gets to go to this competition because then my club's got to be there all the time too. Because to this day we're still in the top four finals appearances. We're in the top 4 or 5 for. We have more Europa League group stage wins or something like that than any other club, which is a stat nobody wants to have
Yeah,
when your aspiration is not that. But eh, again, PSG has no history. They were founded in 1970.
yeah.
like that would exclude RB Leipzig, for example. They have no history.
I
It
mean,
shouldn't matter. I mean, I get what they want. Those are big clubs and big brands. Yes, Pep's right that if you go by history, how can you exclude Ajax? But then there's other clubs you could say the same about.
it's a circus.
Yeah,
And yeah, the new Champions League, I hate it. I like the group stages, man. I like how it comes down to I like when it comes down to the last two games. And I remember we were sitting there a few years ago and we were watching Benfica. Benfica had 1 point through their first three matches.
yeah.
And you're sitting there and you're like, this is ridiculous. And I remember sitting there and I was doing the math out to try to cheer you up that day. And I was like, all they got to do is win these three matches. And look, these are three winnable matches. And it's like, it's good, but like you're not gonna get that when you're playing and you've lost your first five matches, or it's just I don't like the new format. We already
Yeah.
have league tables. I want a different format. I
You want a
don't
tournament. You don't
yeah,
want another league.
yeah, you want a cup. I'd be
Yeah.
perfectly fine if you said, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take we go NCAA tournament style. We say
I
screw
would
it.
be a fan of that too.
Let's take 64 of the best teams in the
Home
world,
and away,
home
two
and away.
legs, and that's how it used to be. It used to be the champions would play each other. You had more different teams winning because you could get a AC Milan versus Real Madrid in the first round, and
Yeah.
one of them's going out. How exciting! Yeah,
It-
sure, it doesn't fill your pockets, but I, I gotta ask you, and I'm sure I know your answer. Am I supposed to feel bad for Real Madrid that if they don't do this, they don't have the money to get Kylian Mbappe?
no.
Like,
It,
is anyone
it's
supposed to be like, oh, you know what? That's right. Go ahead, do this.
it's
Like,
actually the complete opposite, dude. Like you get
that's great. I'd rather they can't get everybody they want.
it's not just that, but like that's one end. Like, oh, if they don't win this and they can't get Mbappe. The other side of it is you could get a team like Mbappe that gets hot,
Yeah,
wins a bunch of money in this tournament, and then they go get
and they
Mbappe.
exactly. At least in theory, that's possible. Right now, as as tilted in the favor of the big clubs as the Champions League is, if you get into that group stage, you can advance. You have to play for it, but at least you can play your way into the next stages. Under this format, it's virtually impossible for that 36th team to get out of the regular season.
It's just gonna, and we keep talking about, oh well, this Champions League is, you keep getting reruns and you keep getting the
Mhm.
same teams. And the hell you think's gonna happen when we're
Same exact
essentially
thing.
fixing things?
They're just going to be making that much more money. That's all. They're actually guaranteeing that it continues that way.
Exactly. And when we're talking about historical value, and that's how we're going to rank the teams. I mean, you get a team like RB Leipzig, like we're talking about, and you put them, or no, they're not going to be. Let's use Bate because they're the first team that
Yeah,
we
Bate
put ahead.
Barslov.
Yeah. Let's say we throw Bate at the 36th spot. Say they win the Champions League. How far up are they going to go? All right. They just won the Champions League, or they made a good run in the
Mm-hmm.
Champions League. By the time that they gain any historical value, it's going to take 5 years.
And I mean, we already have the UEFA coefficient system, which just goes back 5 years, and that still sucks
Yeah.
because there's teams that are in leagues that are hanging on to what happened 5 years ago, that are holding them at a certain level of ranking that they don't deserve anymore.
I completely agree, man. This is just, they've completely just botched everything again.
And
And we're
you got a club like AC Milan who haven't done anything in a decade, and here they are as founders of this league because this is their bailout. They're trying to get out of their situation with this huge payout, this huge, if you want to call it a stimulus package from from JP Morgan. And they're like, we've resolved all our problems. We'll go to the Super League and all our problems. No, play your way back to where you belong. Nobody deserves to be handed anything in sports, in my opinion. And it, nobody, and there's the argument that nobody wants to see Atalanta in the Champions League. Yeah, there. I think Atalanta is disturbing the powers that be in Italy because they've encroached their way into that top four. Where if you're AC Milan, who've been out of there for a while, or if you're Roma, who struggle to keep pace with them, or Lazio, it's like, oh, who is this little club Atalanta in here? Cramping my style. They're getting in the way. They're preventing us from growing and from trying to catch Juventus, which Juventus have fallen completely off. But historically speaking, you have the story of like an Atalanta that won't happen in the new format, in my opinion. It just won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And it's just like, we live in a time where we see everybody kind of get handed stuff, and we all know the politics that go behind the workplace. And like, yes, you have teams that have a lot of money. It doesn't prevent the team with a little bit of money to go in there and fuck things up.
Right.
Like,
And this used to be the magic of the FA Cup when teams would knock off, the big dogs. You would have the
yeah,
giant killers. And, you know, that used to happen in the European Cup when the Champions League was the European Cup. You'd have a team from Yugoslavia or a team from Romania go and knock out Real Madrid, Ajax, and Juventus and find themselves in the semifinals because they earned it. They had that opportunity. But if they have to play in a group with those three teams, they're never going to get out of there.
yeah, yeah, I completely agree with you, man. This is just, it's a mess. It's a mess. UEFA can't get out of their own way. I
And
mean,
that's why these clubs are trying to form a. They're showing their might by either pretending to form this league or really forming this league. Your take at the beginning I thought was interesting, where you thought maybe it was for show to get what they wanted from UEFA. I think you could be right. You could be onto something. But like you said, it's a mess, and and as I lose my train of thought for a second, uh, we're to get back to the idea of the Super League and the idea that these 12 teams, or it would eventually be 15, that would be locked in. How are they going to decide the other five guests they're going to invite in every year? You're telling me that's going to be performance based and not politically based? Of course not. It's going to be clubs that do what they want or that support measures they want. And you help me, I help you. That's how everything works in these types of setups.
here's my question though. Why did they limit it to 20 teams? if they were smart, why didn't they should have included more teams. It just said, yeah, look, you'll be able. I wonder what the reaction would have been if they were smart enough to say, screw it, we'll make it 32 teams, like the
That may be
Champions
the
League.
that may be the next card they play. Who knows? Because I don't think this is well. Juan Laporta, the president of Barcelona, said that this isn't dead. They need to make changes, but it isn't dead. Florentino Perez of Real Madrid thinks that everybody just hates them, that they're conspiring against Real Madrid, and he blames the English. And yeah, very very typical, elitist view that he's not doing anything wrong. But I think he was set up to fail by the other owners, honestly. I think they're like, yeah, you announce it so that everybody lashes at you. And I think what the English clubs especially hoped would happen was all the criticism would be at them, and they could kind of skirt under it and let things play out. But their supporters had other ideas. And of course, I think the German league staying out of it for now was also what hurt the idea of the league. But the way the law works in Germany, clubs have to be owned by
Yeah.
50%. So they're never going to sign up for this because it'll never, because it's got to be done democratically. It'll never be done. I can't see a German club's supporters giving their power away to their club to go into this league. And then, they're clearly against it because I think the German supporters maybe are the most purist of all, because
Mm.
that's why they have these laws in place and why they have these rules in place. I mean, the German Bundesliga tried to play matches on Mondays, and the supporters wouldn't allow it. They would not allow it. Like, and this is why I like the Bundesliga, because they play on Saturday and Sunday when I can watch. That's another reason I like it.
Those Bundesliga 2 matches though at 10:30 and 12:30 on
Yeah,
Mondays,
yeah,
those were we are all very appreciative of those,
of course.
especially busy Monday mornings, maybe during the
Yeah,
summertime. Always appreciated watching those
right.
games. Thank you so much. Gertha Firth, one of the great teams. They had that little
Hey, they're
Celtic
gonna come
logo.
up. They're gonna come.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know
dude.
they got the little shamrock. They're gonna come up. But the supporters in the Werder Bremer season ticket holders, excuse me, couldn't give a care about you or I getting to watch them on Monday at the office. It's about them being able to be in the stadium, and that's why they don't want these matches on Mondays.
Yeah.
And and we've seen leagues start to schedule more and more weekday matches now that there's nobody in the stands, because it's becoming even more of a TV property.
I like the weekday matches. I mean, the
I
weekday
I do
matches
too.
are
It gives
good.
me something to get through the week.
Yeah, it's something to watch. It's something that they should be doing pretty much nonstop. The problem, though, I just want to get back to one thing that you were talking about with the Premier League is I know that they're owned by NBC and that they're at the mercy of NBC. And we talked about how if NBC do retain the rights, it's going to be USA, NBC, and Peacock.
Most
Can we
likely.
can we please just figure out where can we get scheduled time slots to say 12:30 game's gonna be on NBC, 10 a.m. is gonna be on USA, 7 a.m. is gonna be on Peacock, rather than me sitting here flipping through the channels, plugging in the Fire Stick, trying to figure out what's going on,
Yeah.
trying to remember the stupid login for Peacock.
Hmm.
I, I mean, you guys are killing me slowly here. Just pick a time slot. I mean, I think that's something that's really hurt lately. I haven't seen the rip, but it feels like it hurts. Like the same people that
I
I know
agree
that are
with you 100%. And I think what they do, from what I understand, is there's matches. So the Premier League schedules the time slot. Okay. So, and then NBC decides where they're going to put each match. And they want to put a big team on Peacock because they don't want someone to be able to watch their team play every week without subscribing to Peacock.
Mhm.
And in the same right, they want to put games on NBC over the air because they need to hit a rating and they need to get advertising dollars. So they try to juggle it. And what happens is, like you said, you don't know where to find these games. If you
It's
don't have
it's
an app that tells you what channel every game is on, you don't know where to find it. And I like your idea where this time slot belongs to this entity, this time slot to this one. Oh, 12:30 on Sunday. All right, NBC over the air. You know, and what I've learned is what's interesting is when you're on NBC over the air, okay? NBC, because they are a over the air network, they're controlled here in the United States by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. So what happens is Sunday mornings they're required by law to leave time open for public television. That's why you see like the local, because every NBC has a local affiliate in each city, right? Here we have 10 in Boston.
Yeah.
If you tune in to NBC 10 on Sunday morning, you'll see Urban Connection, or so. That's a show I happen to remember the name of. And they're talking about issues in Boston. It's a show that's only coming to our market. So NBC is required by federal communications law to leave time open for shows like that, for local programming, for the local affiliate to basically, it's politically minded. It's the idea is that it gives local people that are politically active a chance to speak on television without having to pay for airtime.
Yeah.
It's one of the agreements that was probably signed in 1940 when television was founded, and it's still in place. So that's why you don't see an NBC. So if you get a Manchester Derby, for example, 10 a.m. on a Sunday, you won't see it on NBC over the air. You'll see it on Sportsnet, on NBC Sports, or you'll see it on Peacock or on USA. Um, so I guess NBC is stuck with some of these rules, and CBS, NBC, ABC would also fall, and Fox would fall under the same. Maybe not Fox, but the big three would fall under those restrictions. So that's why sometimes you can't find a game. Um, but in Saturday mornings on NBC belong to they used to belong to cartoons. I don't know if they still do, but they have to allot a certain amount of time for children's programming as well by law. And that's really an unfortunate workaround that but they are NBC. They're owned by Comcast. They own Sky Sports. They're a huge conglomerate. They have plenty of influence in the Premier League. I'm sure they could work to get better time slots, but I think that time the key area is Asia and not America. I think America ranks number 2 in their priorities of television markets. That's my personal opinion that I'm gathering from, the different, because I think that's why you see again the 7 a.m. Saturday big matches. You get a North London derby on a Saturday at 7 a.m. in our time slot because it's prime time in Hong Kong and in China and in Japan.
Yeah. Makes total sense, dude. It's an absolute mess. It's an absolute disaster, but
It's one of the problems when your league is no longer a local league, it's a world property. It's everybody watches around the world, and we all live in different time zones. So
yep. Um it's one of those things that everybody's got to figure out. Even here, even
yeah.
just in America, you have what, 4 or 5 different time zones?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's a pain
exactly.
in the neck.
If you include Hawaii and Alaska, yeah, you got 5 time zones.
Yeah, it's insanity.
Eh, You know, it, you mentioned the Premier League, and I was going to say I wanted to touch on this before we wrapped up. Is this People are acting like this Super League, like this is the first time anyone's ever tried to break away and start their own league, right? I mean, in American sports, we've seen it historically. We had the AFL in the 1960s that decided to take on the NFL, eventually merged with it. We had, the ABA did the same thing in basketball. And the ABA invented the 3-point line, which is now the key thing in basketball. Everybody plays a 3-ball game. So this isn't the first time this has happened. Even in this sport, in the 90s, the Premier League broke away from the Football League. People
Yeah.
forget this because it was so long ago. But before there was a Premier League, it was Division One, and it was what we today call the EFL. It was called the Football League Division One. There were 24 teams in it, right? And the way the money was distributed was the money that the first division made was trickled down to the second and the third division and then the conferences.
Hmm.
It all trickled down. You fast forward to the 90s and you got Manchester, same club. Amazing how much of this is the same clubs. You got Manchester United, Manchester City, I think. I could be wrong on that, but Liverpool, Manchester United, Everton was one of the clubs that time. Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, saying we don't want to share with Division 2 and Division 3 anymore. Let's form our own league. What happened was they got in business with Sky Sports, which was just launched. Sky Sports says we're going to, they studied the American model they studied the NFL specifically. They said we can do that in England with our football. And it's funny because the first year of the Premier League, Sky Sports debuted something called Monday Night Football, which at that time was the key NFL match in the United States. They said, we'll put matches on Monday night in England. It didn't work as well for them, but they basically copied the NFL and how they created the Premier League. So they decided instead of 24, we're going to have 20 teams so we can play fewer matches. Back
Yep.
then, they wanted to play fewer matches. And um, they decided they were going to be top heavy in how money was dispersed. And thus, the Big Six was born. And every year, the big, four of the top six are the same. So over 20 years, we've developed this Big Six that is pretty consistent now because they've been getting the majority of the money throughout the last 25 years or so. I think it was 92, 93. I don't know the exact dates, but basically these clubs have broken away from a league before. And the fans didn't have the same reaction in 1992. They were excited because, well, football was going to go on television. Because back then you had to wait. Your team played, say you're a Manchester City supporter, right? Manchester's in the north. They're playing Southampton down on the south coast. If you can't travel to the game, you got to wait until 11 p.m. to watch match of the day to see 30 seconds of highlights of your team, right? Because to this day in England, you cannot broadcast television. You cannot broadcast any football at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. That time slot's reserved for local football. Back then, there was like no football on television outside of the FA Cup. So these teams have a history of breaking away. And I think there was a case study done by these owners on the formation of the Premier League and where they got the idea. So I think the English teams are pushing more of this than they're letting on. And Florentino Perez had a quote that to me had John Henry's name all over it. He said, we are losing the 18 to 24 demographic. We're losing, they don't watch football anymore in its entirety. He goes, and then nobody cuts him off and they let him keep speaking. And he goes, we should make the games shorter. And we should change the rules so there's more goals. Where have we heard this before? This was the argument NFL owners that started Major League Soccer made about this sport back in 90, whatever, when they started MLS. What do we hear about in baseball all the time? Games are too long. Our audience is too
we need
old.
the demographic. Yeah.
We got to get a pitch count, a pitch clock so we can speed up the game. The idea of speeding up the games and getting more scoring. Tell me that's not John Henry's influence on Florentino Perez through somebody.
I didn't put it together until you just said it. Oh my God, they're letting this idiot run the.
I think he's running the whole thing. I think I've come to that conclusion, and he's smart enough to put Florentino out there in front.
So really fun story about John Henry, by the way. Did you notice how he put out that video, the apology video? Did you get a chance to watch it?
I could only stomach a few seconds of it, but yeah.
Okay, so
I do know what you're talking about.
The fun story about it was he put out that video before they left the league.
Yeah.
And more importantly, if you listen to the video, it sounds like he's almost taking credit for dismembering the league. Excuse me, sir. You were quite literally like the 8th team that left. You were the last. Of the teams that left.
He had no choice but to leave at that time.
I hate him so much.
It's like my rivals, Porto, coming out 3 days later, like, oh yeah, we definitely rejected the invitation to join. Get out of here. Now it's very easy to say that because this thing blew up and you don't want to be associated with it.
It's really funny because like the two teams I thought like, oh, I'm surprised I didn't hear their names. Porto and Olympiacos.
I know. Yeah.
The two teams I was waiting for. And then like
maybe they're 2 of the 3. Who knows?
It was really funny because there was a rumor swirling around that like there was going to be a Greek team in it, and there was some like serious media outlets that were.
You would automatically assume corruption, big money.
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest criminals in all of Europe, one of the great drug dealers of our time. You got to figure this guy's got an in. He somehow avoided prison. so we might as well throw this guy in the Super League.
Right.
And then I was so mad when I was listening to it. I was like, I hope this thing gets fucking dismembered. And
Yeah.
then I started to hear the rumblings that it's going to be based on historical value and that the Saudi prince is involved.
Yeah, they don't quite fit that.
That this was going to be his way of screwing over Olympiacos. And I was like, I'm in. I'm sold. This thing needs to happen. And literally within 2 hours of me reading that article and being like, sold, give it to me right now. Let's start it up tonight. Super League is officially dead. Chelsea is coming out. Everybody starts coming out. And I was literally sitting there. I was like, they literally
Oh, it's a domino effect.
Excited. They waited for me to get excited before they pulled the plug on this.
And from what I understand, from what I've heard on the BBC, I think this is where I heard Chelsea and Man City were kind of like iffy on it the whole time. That's why they were so quick to get out. Whereas I think we just discovered that if we hadn't, or uncovered that I think Liverpool were in from day one, and I think Fenway Sports Group may be the brainchild behind how they were going to do this. They may have not came up with the concept, but they may have heard it and said, yeah, we can do that.
While we're on topic, Chelsea fans saying that you say football.
Oh, yeah.
Blow me. Yeah, just get on all fours, open your mouth, and fucking blow me. I hate Chelsea fans so much. You morons. You just nuisances. They are all nuisances of human beings. I mean, like 3 of my closest friends. So since I started working for betterthan.vegas, one of the guys that we work with, he works for Stable Duel. Want to give a shout out to Beho. I love you. Went out to Kentucky, had a great time with you. You tried to kill me.
I saw those pictures of you at the Kentucky Derby. You're moving up, man. Moving on up like the Jeffersons.
Did you see the
That's a little inside baseball between the two of us.
That's right, my friend. But yeah, so I mean, Beho, I love you, dude. Mean it. You are the epitome of Chelsea fans. You guys are the most annoying group of fans. Oh, Manchester City spent so much money.
Yeah, right. What happened when Abramovich bought the club?
And then he texts me before the FA Cup final. And then they're like, oh my God, look at this. The B team is out there. I'm like, Werner, Ziyech, Pulisic. Yeah. I mean, all these guys that you bought in 2 years. I'm like, who's on the beat? Kepa. Kepa's the B team. Kepa sucks. Oh, the most expensive goalie in the history of soccer? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You guys don't have any.
It's everyone else's fault they made a horrible purchase, too, by the way.
Yeah, it's everybody else's fault. You know, some people, we only get one chance to spend $60 million on a goalie.
Well, and that goes back to talking about Perez, talking how this is going to save football, because whose fault is it that they've wasted so much money on players that have not panned out, or that they've just overspent? They thought they had this endless flow of cash coming in forever. A pandemic happened and burst your bubble, but that bubble was going to burst sooner or later anyway, because the spending was out of control.
It's the most annoying. I mean, yeah, Real Madrid fans are obnoxious, but they've also won. So it's like, I can be like, okay, cool, you guys won, no problem. You're allowed to be nuisances. Barcelona fans, you have Messi. Manchester United, I mean, I guess you clowns can hold on to the fact that you were pretty good on the
Not for much longer, though. I mean, that's getting to be really a long time ago, the Manchester United glory days. They're getting pushed further and further into the past.
You're starting to turn into Arsenal, okay, folks?
I agree. And I used to love Manchester United, but they are literally turning into Arsenal slowly.
And I love, but the Chelsea fans, you guys have such a special place in my heart. You miserable group of clowns. You belong in the Europa League. And part of me wants to say, I hope Real Madrid dismantles you in the Champions League. No, you know what? I want that pleasure. I'll see you idiots in the final. And we're literally gonna pants you on international television, you bunch of morons. Oh, Manchester City spent so much. But then here we go with this nonsense. Oh, Pep Guardiola? No, he only wins when he spends a lot of money. Oh, I'm sorry. As opposed to literally every one of
what top manager doesn't spend a lot of money at this point? Like,
and while we're on the topic of managers, and I know I'm going way off topic here, but I've had this built up, and I really don't have a good outlet to yell about Chelsea.
Go ahead, let it go. Let it go.
Suck. You all.
The PTB Nation wants to hear it. Go for it.
I love how they're all just talking about Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel, smartest manager. He's phenomenal. The year before that, Frank Lampard,
smartest manager.
He's a kid whisperer.
Bringing us back.
He's bringing us back. That's it. The captain's back. Literally every single year, it is the same fucking story with these people. Oh, that's it. Oh, this last guy, let me tell you something. There was a problem in the locker room. We had to get rid of him. This new guy we brought in, he's the savior. I will take whatever wager anybody wants. Thomas Tuchel does not have a job with Chelsea by the end of next year. It is the continuous circle.
No.
It literally never stops. You idiots continue to throw out these things that everybody else spends money except for you, which in reality is not the truth. I hate to break the news. Look at your starting 11, you morons.
They were the first English club to spend ridiculously. They were the first to be bought by, a foreign billionaire and just start buying whatever player they wanted.
It's so obnoxious too, because again, we're talking about, and then it's just this thing on Manchester City. There's no salary cap. Why is
and I hope there never
bad
is.
thing? Why are we knocking teams for spending money? It shouldn't happen that way. Who freaking cares that they went out and spend money? Do you hear me bitching and complaining that you went out and got Timo Werner for so much money and he hasn't done a thing this year? No, I don't care. Go buy the right players. Go win a freaking title, you bums.
And, I'm glad you mentioned that. I know we're running long, but, this idea that the salary cap suddenly evens everything. Of course, we have the advantage of living in America and having American sports where it's like, a prerequisite to have a sport. You have to have a salary cap. There's the same thing in how many teams have won the Super Bowl in the last 10 years?
It is the stupidest thing, and if there's one thing that we've learned, there's ways around the salary cap
of
to make
course.
sure that the salary cap does not exist. The NBA is a beautiful example of that.
Exactly.
You look at the Los Angeles Lakers. Why in the world do players like to go to LA? Okay, yeah, the weather's nice. Hate to break the news to everybody. These guys have enough money to go on vacation
whenever they want.
They please. Okay, it's not that great in LA. As a matter of fact, it's just a West Coast version of the shithole known as New York. Okay, so I mean, it is the most obnoxious thing. It just drives me nuts. This talk about the salary cap. There's no need for a salary cap. If an owner wants to spend money, God bless. They
find their ways.
Spend money. Yeah, there's ways around salary.
How many times did they just change the way they paid Tom Brady to fit the salary cap? It doesn't mean he wasn't getting paid. They changed the structure of the payments. They didn't change the total. And the NBA.
You don't think there was a way for them to get LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D Wade all under max deals?
In Miami, exactly.
Hello, everybody. Stop the nonsense about the salary cap. Salary caps do not matter. There are ways around it. A beautiful, beautiful thing. The one good thing about baseball, I
was going to say this next. Nonsense. I'll let you say it, but I was going to say this. I think I know where you're going.
Almost no salary cap in baseball. There's some punishments if you go over
luxury tax. That's fine.
Perfectly fine with luxury tax. But guess what? You have a team like the Tampa Bay Rays who haven't spent money ever in their franchise's history because their fans are absolutely atrocious.
Fans?
Yeah. The 70.
You mean the Red Sox fans that go in there when the Yankees are in town and vice versa? The Yankees fans that show up when the Red Sox are in town?
Yeah. Yeah, those people, the people that show up to games on occasion. But I mean, they're a perfect example of you don't need to spend money. All you need to do is have some
Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
Won a World Series.
Yeah. Imagine that. It's just
small market, no excuse.
And this nonsense in the MLS about the salary cap.
I know.
You guys are idiots.
Well, it's a salary cap, but then you have the designated player rule, and you can trade your designated players' allocations. And now you have TAM and GAM. You have, you have an acronym. You have LMNOP. You have an acronym for everything in Major League Soccer.
Thank you for bringing up the designated player thing too, because the MLS is the only league in the world. I promise they're the only league in the world who literally dictates, okay, what player can we get over here? Oh, David Beckham's coming. We're not sending him over to Utah. Are you crazy?
Well, I was just going
straight to the Galaxy. They literally dictate where the players go.
And I have some insight on this, Leo. I have some insight on this because I made some connections in my life in this game, and I know somebody that has been on the inside at New York Red Bulls and explained this to me once. Okay, because at the time there was a rumor that Xavi could be coming to Major League Soccer. And he explained how that process was going to work. Major League Soccer was going to approach Xavi. And then they were going to come back to the clubs and say, first of all, who can afford him? And then they would say, well, okay, he's Spanish. Let's see. Oh, we got a new team in Miami with a a large Latin community that's going to know who he is. We can't send him to Minnesota, even though they say they have the money. And they basically figure out what's the best place to. Yes, teams can go look for a player, but if essentially the league is going to look at where can we put this player that best that best is best for business for all of us.
Yep.
And my problem with the American model of leagues is that it's essentially one entity with franchises, like we say, and basically they all work for the same big brother. And it's no different than McDonald's having a McDonald's in Boston, a McDonald's in New York, a McDonald's in Miami. They're all McDonald's. The only difference is in sports leagues they change what they look like and what they call themselves, but it's a franchise the same way. And whereas the Premier, maybe not the Premier League's a bad example, but in most European leagues, the clubs run the league, not the league running the clubs.
Yep. Yep. Just the MLS is an absolute mess. It's a joke the way that they portray everything too. And then there's still no pro relegation system. More than half the teams make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Bring it into expansions. I love this thing that we do with the expansions too. It's absolutely brilliant. We take players from other teams. What? Go find your own players. It's an international game. There's literally players everywhere.
And we sell you a franchise for what's the cost now? Like 350 million. Yeah. I mean, the cost to buy it now to buy a franchise in Major League Soccer, it's astronomical. How are you ever going to get that money back?
My favorite thing though, we're going to charge you 350 million to buy the team, but you're only allowed to spend 3 million on salary. Okay,
right?
That's
exactly.
It.
Oh, and you can go get one guy that can make 10 million, and we won't count it against your cap.
That's it. All right, out of the goodness of our heart, literally, you need to have your salary for 100 years. Does not amount.
You're buying
100 years.
This is why what expansion has done is it's kept the league profitable now, year after year. When in reality, TV numbers are going down. Attendance, is what it is right now. Attendance is not a factor because it's out of everyone's control. But there's some teams that are doing well and others that are not. But everybody is kept afloat with this influx of cash every time they sell a franchise to expansion. But at some point, that caps itself. What are you going to have, 62 teams?
You know what? You kind of brought it up right there. One thing that the MLS can't seem to figure out apparently is, hey, we're not allowing people in the stadiums, which should translate to higher ratings, but ratings are going down.
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with the product. I mean, you have teams like Real Salt Lake. They have literally no chance. That's it. They're cooked. Done. See you later, guys.
And that's one of the better supported teams. That's the sad part. They actually have a good, solid fan base who's locked out of them right now.
When you have these teams that suck and you do not give their fan bases an actual reason to watch, they're not going to watch. Hey, heads up, this is America. When it comes to, soccer leagues, you don't rank in the top 10, top 15 probably. Not to mention the fact that and then they continually put it against these spots where they're going against the NBA in a big game. They're going on Sunday afternoons against the NFL.
How many years, Leo, did they put MLS Cup head-to-head against the SEC championship in football? Every time it fell on Fox put it on Saturday night to go head-to-head with CBS. You're just massacring your own product.
I mean, you got a bunch of clueless owners, I guess. I don't have an idea. The MLS, I've officially given up all hope. Their game plan is to basically have 24 teams that are all
27 right now, I believe.
27. Screw it. Let's go up to 30. Let's all have 30 teams. We'll water down the pool completely. Let's hope that every team has an average of like 70 out of 100 score-wise.
Yeah, if you were to rank
it, 70. And let's just hope, it's a real big bleep show. We're going to hope for parity. Let's not hope for any of our teams to actually be good. Could also be why we can't win in the CONCACAF Champions League. I
love that competition, and I love to talk, but yes, it has a lot to do with it. Because the Mexican teams that want to win go spend what they need to spend. They're not held back by the MLS salary cap. And that's the big reason why they continue to dominate that competition.
Incredible concept that if you have money to spend and you want to spend it, you're allowed to spend it.
Plus, the flaw with that with that system, and we're way off the topic of European Super League, but the flaw, it actually, because you could see the European Super League completely evolve into this, or devolve, is the way I would see it. But when you have X amount of dollars to spend, are you going to spend it on a holding midfielder or a central defender?
No.
You can't sell those jerseys. Nobody's going to come to see that. No,
Mhm.
everybody's got strikers. Everybody's got offense. Central, playmakers and strikers. So what happens in CONCACAF Champions League is, one, the Mexican teams particularly, much better balanced. They have much better defenses. They don't have necessarily the big names. You don't see Zlatan playing in the Mexican League. You don't have a name like that. But the back half of the lineup on the MLS teams is subpar because all the money is spent up front.
It's kind of amusing too because you know what? The same
But
problems
goals are
in the
good, right?
MLS.
Goals are good and defense is bad.
Yep, and that's why the American national team blows. And that's why the American national team will never win a thing because you look at it up front and we keep hearing, oh, look at these guys. You got Christian Pulisic, you got Weston McKennie, you got a
Tyler
bunch of
Adams,
guys. Yeah, Tyler Adams is real nice. Hey, guys, who's
Giorena, but they all the same. They play the same. You can only play so many of those guys.
I'm okay with that. I have no problem. You can
Yeah.
find places to play those guys.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a quick question for you. Who's the back four?
Yeah, that used to be the United States' stronghold.
Do you know why?
Who's the
Do you know why
goalkeeper?
the US? Settle
We've got
down, you.
this country
Settle
has
down.
completely stopped producing goalkeepers.
I need I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, a backup at Man City is not going to do it.
What are you talking about?
He's
Zach
not.
Steffen?
If he were playing every day, sure, but he's
What?
not.
What?
He does not play. Is he? He's probably playing today, right?
He did play today. He got a
Yeah,
clean.
he's their League Cup goalkeeper. But
Yeah, he was a
you're gonna
disaster
go
in the
into a
FA Cup.
World Cup qualifier with a goalie who's a backup on his team?
The
Just be-
qualifiers are perfectly fine. The actual World Cup, you're in some big time trouble.
Well, what happened last time? They didn't make it to the actual World Cup.
I mean, it's just why didn't they make it to the World Cup? Because they don't have a back four.
We
And that's
just
the problem with the MLS.
everything we just
MLS. You
spelled out.
need to stop. You need to stop the nonsense with this salary cap because, like you said, when you have a salary cap, you're going to go get the guys that are going to buy, that are going to sell jerseys. The guys that are going to sell jerseys are going to be the Beckhams, the Zlatans, the attacking guys that are going to have the flair, the Brazilians, all these guys.
The Argentines, Ezekiel Barco, for example.
There you go. Joseph Martinez from South America.
Diego Rossi at LAFC. That's where they're spent.
All these guys.
That's a good use of money because you're bringing in young players that have an upside from other countries. Now, we don't have those kind of players here, but
you need to go get
you need
guys.
a back line.
Yeah, you need defense. I mean, you look at some of these games, I mean, they're embarrassing. They're freaking embarrassing when you watch and you're like, "Oh my God." I mean, you used to play games at Foley Stadium with better defense than this guy. Than the MLS teams. I mean, it's
shout out Worcester, Mass, Foley Stadium. I love that.
That's right, baby.
I love that stadium.
Dude, softest field ever. I mean, you falling, you enjoy it there. But yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. You watch the defenses, you watch the game with Seattle Sounders yesterday in LAFC. You have so much firepower missing for LAFC. You watch the Seattle Sounders. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
The defense and the goalies are not bad. I mean, Stephen Fry's okay.
He's not bad.
He's all right. But I mean, the defense in this is just embarrassing. You're embarrassing your league. This league is a joke. Europeans laugh at this. Mexicans laugh at this. I mean, screw it. Till Canada wakes up and creates their own league, then they've start.
Got it. They're on the up. They're on the up.
Settle down. Simmer down.
They're on the up, man.
But
let's get this is way off the topic, but if we sat down and started to compare, maybe not the depth, but the 11, Canada's that gap went from here to, it's shrinking.
But, yeah, if we're talking national team, absolutely.
Right.
If we're talking the leagues, no, absolutely.
No, maybe not the leagues, but the league is the foundation for who will later be the national team players.
Yeah, it's just the foundation is broken in America. The views are broken in America. I think America was a massive problem with the Super League. And once again, the Europeans showed the Americans this is how you're supposed to do it, ladies and gentlemen.
And again, Leo, what's so hypocritical is you got FIFA completely, condemning this European Super League. like 2 weeks ago, the FIFA president Gianni Infantino praised the idea of a combined MLS Liga MX Super League, basically of a merger. Are you kidding me?
I mean, how do you even combat that? Why
We should
we can't even
honestly, with
debate
all
that?
due respect, we shouldn't even have Canadian teams in Major League Soccer anymore. They have their own league. The Canadian teams should be in the Canadian League.
Correct. You don't see Benfica playing in La Liga, man.
No,
No matter how
no,
good they are, Benfica will not play in La Liga. Porto
no.
doesn't play in La Liga. Real Madrid isn't going to play in the Liga Nos. It's not going to happen.
Right. It just, and then everyone goes back to, oh, you have Welsh teams in the English league. Yes, but those Welsh teams do not then go to the Champions League as the Welsh champions, the way Canadian teams go to the CONCACAF Championship, the CONCACAF Champions League, not as MLS clubs, but as Canadian champions.
Yeah. I mean,
TFC, Montreal Impact, and Vancouver Whitecaps are almost guaranteed. One of them will always be in the CONCACAF Champions League,
you know
even
what?
if they're the three worst teams in Major League Soccer.
You know what? While we're going to be combining teams, while we're going to be combining leagues, screw it. Let's have some fun. Let's put the Greek Super League and then the Turkish Super League together. Let's see what happens.
The Netherlands and Belgium are starting that process. I don't know that it'll ever actually happen,
Never
but
going to happen.
both leagues now are saying they want to merge. Now, I think it's going to be, if that ever happened, it would be mostly Dutch teams with Anderlecht, Cluj, and insert one more, Standard Liège or something. You'd have the big Belgian teams playing in the Dutch league is what it would eventually turn into.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any type of sense.
No.
Every country has their own team, has their own league.
Yeah.
That's it. And,
Yeah.
you have, I'm trying to think of like I'm trying to think of like a lower country that has the same champion every year, but they still perform well.
Well, the Ukraine, it's either Dynamo Kiev or it's Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah, I mean, you still have these good teams that come out of these small leagues, and like just
Slavia
because,
Prague, I think they win every year in the Czech Republic.
I mean, Bate
Bate,
in the
Red Star
Belarusian league.
Belgrade.
Yeah, you get these same teams that are going to win every single year, and it's like it's not a knock on the team that they play in this league.
No, it's up to everybody else to close the gap.
It's a circus, man. You know what? Basically, how long have we been talking here? We've been talking
about an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. As always, we aimed for an hour, and we're at an hour and a half. The theme of this episode of PTB is simply the fact that America tries to ruin everything.
Well, this time, yes, I think you cannot deflect the blame away from the American influence on this idea. I don't think, and that doesn't mean every American owner that buys a team is bad, but they're not doing themselves any favors. Another thing, this week, Leo, in France, Bordeaux went into administration. Guess who they're owned by? Just guess what nationality their owner is. American. And the American owner no longer wants this project. They no longer want to invest in this team. Well, you can't just buy a club and then, you know what, this isn't working. First of all, he tried, from what I understand, he tried to change the name of the club to make it more marketable. We saw this in Hull City too, when they tried to call it the Hull Tigers so that they could sell the brand, and the supporters quickly said, we're not a brand, we're a club. The same thing is happening because Bordeaux's club name is Girondins Bordeaux, and he wanted to remove the Girondins, insert, I don't know, an animal or something like we do here, and make it an American style name, Bordeaux mascot. Insert whatever mascot you want.
Yep.
And there was a revolt. I mean, the guy probably feared his life, but again, your owner lives on the other side of the ocean, so he's not too afraid of pissing you off, which is what's happened with John Henry. What fear does he have? He hasn't been in Anfield in a while. The Glazers haven't been to Old Trafford, I've heard, in like 13 years. The roof is leaking. The stadium's falling apart, and they don't know that. They don't care. They're just watching the bank account.
Part of me kind of is like sad that, like, I enjoyed the story of Liverpool last year. Part of me was so sad that they ended up winning because they didn't invest any type of money outside of Virgil. I mean, outside of Virgil and Alisson, they didn't go out and spend any type of money, and it just John Henry walks into another championship and he gets praised as the owner. Yo, you suck, dude. You suck. I hate this guy. But you know what? One thing I do want to bring up is that we have all these guys from the Middle East. Like perfect example is Manchester City, right?
Sheikh Mansour, yeah.
Manchester City is owned by oil companies,
Yep.
pretty much. Guys that own oil companies. We get the most crap for all this stuff. But in reality, those owners have been good for the sport. They're pumping in a ton of money. They're pumping in money into the lower leagues. They're making sure that they're getting really, really good teams. They're doing everything by the rules pretty much outside of the FIFA fair play nonsense. I don't
Sure.
want to hear about that trash.
That,
But
that's a failed experiment at this point.
yeah, I mean, they're going out, they're spending money. They're not trying to corrupt the sport. The American owners are literally trying to corrupt the sport. They're trying to take the American influence and put it into the beautiful game. And thankfully, the Europeans are just flat out smarter than the Americans are.
When
And
it
like,
comes to
no,
this, absolutely.
why you always got a hedge?
And yeah, exactly. That to use your terminology in your vernacular there. Plus, you got Paris Saint-Germain, who are owned by literally a country, a government of a country. They're owned by BN Sports, which is owned. I hope I don't misspeak here. By Qatar, however you want to pronounce that country's name. And basically, it is the ruling, the ruling family, if you will, owns owns they are the political flag for Qatar is PSG right now.
Yeah.
And it's I don't think that's good for the game in the long run, because what's going to happen, the problem is what happens when these oligarchs no longer want to put their money into this. They get bored of playing with this toy that is PSG. What are they going to be left in? What kind of state? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just going to one day decide they're not going to spend any more money on it, and you're going to quickly see a free fall.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's going to be bad at some point. At some point, you're going to see the downfall of some of these big time teams. I mean, I still think you're kind of seeing it with Liverpool.
Yeah, possibly. They may be
I,
right back to where they were for all those years of top
I don't
four,
think it's
but not real contenders. If they're one or two players leaving away from
from
not being
not
all
being
that
in
good anymore.
Champions League.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I mean, seriously though, you look at it and it's a perfect example of you look at the Virgil injury. The second Van Dijk went out, that team crumbled and they've been struggling ever since. And I think they're either in fifth or sixth right now,
Yeah,
and they're
they've
not in the
struggled all
Champions.
year.
And the reason why is because Virgil's out. And
Hmm.
Virgil was the one signing. That's
Yeah.
it. The one player that they spent money on. And they knocked it out of the park by spending that money. But in reality, they didn't spend the money that they needed to get the depth. They cried wolf. They're like, oh, well, we don't have enough money to really pump into it. Hey, here's a newsflash. The guys weren't pumping money into it to start with. This is
Hmm.
just the perfect excuse. And I think that we just see it too many times with the American owners.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and like I said, I don't think this story is by any means over. I think the Super League is going to resurface, maybe with more teams. I think your idea of them getting more teams on board will probably give it more strength.
Yeah.
Maybe less. You could see them maybe have less English teams. Who knows? Given that the outrage, maybe they replace them. But the money that English clubs are worth bring collateral to the league. So that's why they want the English clubs. But yeah, I don't think we're done with this. I think we're done for now. But I think we're going to see this come up again. Or, like I said, I could see the Champions League just turn into this slowly with each little format change and each little rule change, more and more power to these big clubs. And, well, I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for anybody running out of money. I mean, nobody feels bad for us. You know what I'm
and,
saying? Like,
and
how
by
many
by
people lost
them
their
running.
businesses this last year? There's nobody crying about it.
Speaking of which, tried to find a place in Boston to watch the UFC fights last night. My top three that I was looking up and I was ready to go to, and my
Closed.
usual go to,
Mhm.
all three are closed.
Yeah.
No problem, everybody.
Yep.
It's
That is the reality right now. It's a tough time to be a business owner, and
yeah, you have these guys in football that are losing, $100 million, and they still got a 500 in the bank, and they're good.
yeah, they have all these other businesses that are keeping them well above water. That's the
Oh,
other
one more
part.
thing on the Super League. You have a lot of people that are like, "Oh, how tone deaf are the owners?" No, how smart are the owners? Because as you mentioned earlier in the show, they're not going to bring this up with fans in the stadiums, you baboons.
Hmm.
Hello.
Yeah, they're more
Obviously, they're going to do it
calculated.
now.
They're the only one I think that's tone deaf is Perez because he's completely. I think he's lost his mind
All right,
because
he's a little oblivious.
he's a little oblivious and he's an older guy and he may be tone deaf, but aside from that, I think the other ones are brilliant because I think he was set up to look like the buffoon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he really was. And then, again, you know what? We've trashed John Henry enough. We got anything else we're gonna hit on today?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think we hit it all. What
Only
do you?
took us. Go ahead.
I would say, what do you got? What do you got going on right now at BTV?
BTV, better than Vegas. You have baseball that is in full effect right now. You got basketball that started to wind down. Get ready for the playoffs. We got picks rolling in every day. We have a ton of football stuff going on, or soccer stuff going on. So
That's
definitely
all right.
go
On this
check that out.
podcast, it's football. You're good.
That's right. Go to better than Vegas. As always, I'm hooking up the tennis stuff. Tennis is my main sport. Soccer is my second sport. Doing a soccer show every single Friday night. That is the plan moving forward. We got
That may feature a familiar voice
that's currently
most
wearing an
Fridays.
Atletico hoodie right now. One of
Hey,
those
there's a
guys.
big game today.
That's right.
Ayup Atleti.
There's a real chance that we might miss it if we don't wrap up.
And I have said this on this show, and I still am waiting for Atleti to completely crumble.
No, they're
But
not going to crumble.
Real Madrid's result yesterday gave me a little bit of hope, but this was
No.
a huge lead, and now it's going to be a dogfight to the end.
No, I
And
think this
I don't
one's
think
over.
Barcelona lose another game, man.
They still have to play each other. They still
Yeah,
got to play each other one more time.
and you don't trust Barcelona to beat Atleti in that match?
Not at all. Not at
Really?
all. Barcelona is not the team that they used to be. I mean, you look at this
Oh,
Barcelona.
I don't doubt that, but I can't. When we get there, we'll talk in detail about that match. Then when we get there,
I mean, look at the lineup real quick from today, I should say, when they beat Villarreal 2-1. You got Griezmann, who's been an absolute disaster since showing up at Barcelona. You got Messi, who's older now. You got an American starting at the right back. You got De Jong, who's solid, but he's not great coming forward. You got Pedri, he's fine. He's not that great. Jordi Alba, who's what, 76 by now? Sergio Busquets, who's 80.
mm-hmm.
Then you got Minguiza, you got Piqué, you got Lingale. I mean, this team is it's not deep. It's not good enough. I don't think that they're going to win.
Yeah, but what's their streak at now?
Big deal.
It's in the 20s, I think.
So what?
There's only 7 or 6 games left. And I don't trust Atleti to finish this out.
I love Atletico.
I want them to, but I don't trust it right now.
Well, you know what? We're gonna throw it back to the Sunday at the sports book here.
You're gonna give me some. We're gonna make a bet here.
Atletico Madrid to actually win La Liga right now.
Yeah, what's the line right now?
Plus 180.
Okay.
They're plus 180. Barcelona's the favorite at plus 130. Real Madrid is
okay, so the bookies agree with me.
Yeah, the bookies are also wrong quite often. I mean,
I understand that, but
you look at Madrid's final few games here. You got Atleti Bilbao. They should win that game. They got Elche.
You think so? You think it's that easy?
Oh yeah.
They've struggled to beat the Leganés of the world. Ibar.
Well, you know what? There is no João Felix. There is no Luis Suarez.
No Luis Suarez.
So I mean, I guess no Jimenez. Chance for them to drop some points, but overall,
that's all it takes. Right now, it's only takes to drop 1 point.
Yeah, it's still
Barca's got the match in hand. What are they? 1 or 2 matches in hand right now, Barcelona?
I believe it's one match, and then they're 2 points.
Because they played already, right? But after Atleti plays in an hour, they'll have 2 matches in hand.
Yeah, so I mean, you got the game today, then you got Elche, then you got the big one against Barcelona in the Camp Nou. Then it's Real Sociedad, who they should beat, Osasuna, who they should beat, and then Valladolid, they should also beat. So I mean, it's pretty much all going to come down to the game against Barcelona. So maybe
that game I have very little confidence in, but we'll get there when we get there. Maybe things will change.
Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? If you guys like this enough, we could always do it live. We could always live watch the game.
You want to know something? If that's on a Sunday afternoon, we could do a live watch along.
We could do a live watch along. I mean, we could get a little setup going where we hang out. I mean, we could definitely get something going for that game.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it for sure. Lastly, how'd you do on UFC last night? I know you sent me your picks. I haven't even really looked at the results yet. I've been busy today, but
This is
Was
one
it
of
a good?
those things that you asked me pre-show, so we don't bring it up on the
Okay,
show.
then enough said. Let's change my question. What'd you think of the UFC last night?
Oh, what a show!
Yeah,
What a show!
I've
Did you
heard
get
it
a chance
was.
to watch?
I have not yet. I was not going to be able to stay awake, so I didn't fork over the cash.
What a
But
phenomenal
I'm
card! I
sure I'll
mean,
catch it.
did you see the leg break?
No,
Shut the
I'll have
fuck
to.
up! You
Which
haven't
one?
seen the leg break?
Wait, in the prelims?
No, no, no. When
Oh, Weidman broke his
Weidman,
leg, didn't he? I did overhear that Weidman broke his leg.
you haven't seen it?
No, I will
No
have to
way.
check that out.
All right, you keep talking. I'm gonna find it. We're gonna get your live reaction here for YouTube.
Yeah, but then we're gonna get taken down from YouTube because that's copyrighted video. Let's not
I'm
do
gonna
that.
send it to your phone. Don't worry
Oh,
about it.
okay.
I'm not a rookie at getting around the rules. You
I
know
was
that.
gonna say, I would want less than my soccer podcast coming down for streaming UFC.
Could you imagine? I just got to make sure I get the right video here. Where the hell is the slow-mo?
What do we got right now going on in the League Cup final? Is it
No,
over?
it's over. Yeah, it's over. Manchester City won 1-0.
1-0.
That's not that important right now.
Good thing Tottenham fired Jose, right?
I mean, what a terrible idea. I mean, seriously, if you're gonna just start this and you're gonna get rid of an owner after, let me know when you start watching it too, so we can.
I'm clicking right now.
But yeah, if you're gonna get rid of Mourinho, I'm sorry, if you're gonna get rid of Pochettino and then only give Mourinho a year and a half, I mean, you are just idiots. You really are.
I'll probably get into it in another episode, but I heard the stat from BT Sport over in England. In the time from the day he arrived at Tottenham to the day he was sacked, he had the fourth best record of all managers in the Premier League.
Don't be ridiculous. We can't have that.
All right, I'm pulling it up. Ah, okay. All right, I've seen the leg is not supposed to do that.
Nope, it most certainly is not.
That reminds me of Anderson Silva against Chris Weidman.
That's what they were saying. They were like, "Oh my god!" It was disgusting watching it live.
That is the danger when you go to kicks. I'm sorry.
Have you seen the Usman knockout?
Not yet. I've read. I got an alert about it. Of course, ESPN spoil. Like I try to stay, no spoiler, and then I got ESPN alert. Same thing happened with WrestleMania.
Yep.
I woke up in the morning and it was like, Bianca Belair is the new champion. I'm like, okay, well,
I think I spoiled that for you, didn't I?
No.
Oh, good job.
No, I gave you the heads up.
Oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, that every single fight on the main card last night was nothing short of fantastic. Do you want spoiler alerts now that we're on this?
No. I don't know how much of this audience cares about UFC.
No, I'm talking about you.
No spoiler. I'll catch up to it.
Oh, dude.
I'll catch up.
2 gruesome injuries.
Yeah.
You got 2 of the most ridiculous knockouts I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who the hell was the other fight. And then the other fight was just a joke. Don't bother watching the Valentina fight.
Oh, really?
Don't waste your time.
All right, man. Anything else you want to part with before we call it an episode?
No, just a reminder, everybody, get your butts to betterthan.vegas, all right? Betterthan.vegas. We are sports betting for YouTube. Or we're a sports betting version of YouTube. Get on over there. Thanks a lot, YouTube, for letting me plug that. We got these
and you may see my face on there a little bit, like I said, and I got to get one of those lids you got there.
You want one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll hook you up, dude.
All right.
We got a sexy hoodie too. This thing's nice and comfy, dude.
Nice.
The big boss was just like, yeah, cool. Let's go get some comfy stuff. I was like,
it's good to have a good big boss.
That's right.
My staff doesn't have any of that around here. It's just my coffee table and this chair behind me is my staff, and they don't have any of that.
Dude, I'm so glad I just caught myself because we would have had to cancel this whole recording.
Good call. Good
job.
I could just have edited it out. I might edit out some of this actually.
Why? Because it went 110 minutes?
Oh, this will be YouTube exclusive with, the podcast will probably be cut down a little bit, but.
There we go. Good stuff.
So if you're watching on YouTube, this UFC material is bonus. And
that 3 minutes was bonus.
All right, Leo, where can people find you other than
head on over
betterthan.vegas?
Go check me out on Twitter at DGens_United. Also follow the Better Than Vegas Twitter account at BTV Cash Tickets. We do live streams. We talk soccer a lot of the week. Again, soccer specific show on Friday. Always entertaining. Usually ends up with me yelling at people, but I mean, that's usually relatively entertaining. So definitely tune in.
All right. And you make sure you follow the Parking the Bus podcast and the PTB Media Network on Instagram at PTB_media, on Twitter at the same handle at PTB_media, and go over to Parking the Bus Network. Sorry, I do this every time. I should have canceled. Go to parkingthebusmedia.com. You can get my original thoughts, my first reaction to this European Super League, and any other content I put up there. And please go click. I need clicks. And share the website through your own social media platforms, and make sure, like I said, you follow it on Twitter and on Instagram, and also make sure you follow Leo here at DGens United. All right, thank you everybody. I'll be back in the next couple days. I've got a lot of stuff coming. I've got CONCACAF Champions League review and preview, because we got another rounds kicking off this week. Copa Libertadores match day 1 kicked off this past week, excuse me. I've got a review of that. Plus, we'll probably have a European Leagues roundup somewhere in there as well. All right, and of course, always follow me at Benfica Mister as well, and follow the Mr. Benfica podcast, because that is my other project, and always looking for clicks and listens there. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll catch you next time here on Parking the Bus, and go ahead, Leo, and shout everyone out and send everyone home.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. It has been an absolute pleasure. We are going to check out, as always, Capitano and DGens United checking out. We're done for the day. If you guys have been listening to this for 2 hours, thank you so much.
See you later, everybody.